Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brittany with the Seniors Blue Book, and today I have the privilege to be joined by Nafi Cunningham of Stratum Health Systems. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Brittany. How are you doing today?
Doing awesome. Happy rainy Monday.
Yes, it's a beautiful day to be indoors, as we are. But it's been nice to hear the rain fall. We haven't had a whole lot of that.
I agree. Our nature outside, our grass and everything, and plants appreciate it. It's a little bit hard to, maybe I shouldn't say this, but motivation is lower because, like we were saying before we went live, like, a nice, like, warm beverage on the couch, movies like Netflix and nap sounds really good.
Marathon day.
Oh, man. Well, here we are today, though, regardless. I'm super excited today. The topic is going to be advanced care planning, what your loved one needs to know. And of course, who better to present that than you, Nafi? You do a phenomenal job of education. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for the opportunity to put me on this platform. As you know, we are all about just sharing the knowledge, and awareness is key. We are fortunate to live in such a great area where there's so many resources. However, people don't all know the resources that are available within the community. And the more you guys help collaborate with organizations that are able to provide this information for the seniors and people, caregivers, family members, it will be wonderful. So I'm here today to talk about My Life, My Choice, which is an advanced care planning, what your loved ones need to know. Every adult should already have an advanced directive if they don't already have one. And if you do, I encourage you to revisit it regularly. And so we're going to talk about some things and challenges people face and why you need to have these discussions and how you can have these discussions so that your loved ones know what you would like and how you would like to be treated should something happen to you. So I'm going to turn over a little bit here to my PowerPoint and get started. So as I said, My Life, My Choice is a Stratum Health System program, and we provide this absolutely free. And it is a program to help educate people about advanced directives. And here we have, it's a topic that nobody really wants to talk about, Brittany, and advanced care planning should be something that should be more normalized. And so it's really not an easy topic to have a conversation about, but here we say, consider a few questions. Do you have any of these situations to consider? Do you have any significant health problems? Some of us think, no, well, I don't. So why should I even think about advanced care planning? I'm young, I'm healthy, such as myself or yourself. And they think, well, no, I should not even be thinking about it. I don't need to worry about it. Well, yes, that's a misconception that's out there. A lot of people consider advanced care planning as something only seniors or somebody who's ill or somebody who is, very old should be thinking about. Unfortunately, we know that accidents happen, situations change, diagnoses happen on a daily basis for people. So we want you to be more prepared. So do you have any significant health problem? You could, yes, or you could not have any. But as an adult and being prepared, you should consider having these discussions ahead of time. What if you receive an unexpected diagnosis? In that event, also, you should be prepared to talk to your loved ones so that they know how they should care for you. Now, I am not an attorney, and I don't pretend to be, but I am a certified advanced care planner. And what we do, I have gone through the training to be certified advanced care planner and even an instructor, so I can actually train other people to do this, to be facilitators. So we want to give people the tools that they might need to have this conversation, because a lot of people will say, well, I tried to have this conversation with my daughter or my son and they didn't want to listen, or I tried to have this conversation with my mom or even my spouse And they don't want to have this conversation because they think having this document or the conversation makes things really uncomfortable. Well, the one thing that we know that everybody might not face these situations, but in the event that you do, you want to be sure that at least you have something. It's a roadmap. That's how I think about it. It's a roadmap that you provide for your loved ones, whereas they know what to do for you. Because nowadays, most of us, when we go somewhere, especially somewhere we don't know, we plug in that GPS and that GPS takes us where we want to go. And so think about it. That same sense. It's not an easy conversation to have, but it's a helpful conversation, and it is a gift that you can give your loved ones. And so, what happens if you got into a car accident? We know every day people jump into their cars, they go to work, they go to the movies, or they go to school, what have you, and something could happen. So we need to be prepared. We don't want those things to happen. We don't plan for those things to happen. That's why they call accidents. So when accidents happen, we want to be able that our loved ones would know how to care best for us. So those are the things that we want people to say. Think about the what ifs. We have car insurances. We have health insurance in case we get sick, that's going to be covered. So think about this as a way of just having an insurance just in case something happens, that your loved ones will also know how to best care for you. So what we want to educate is what it is advanced care planning. It is truly not about just what happens to you today. Advanced care planning, these documents do not come in effect until and unless somebody becomes incapacitated and they're no longer able to communicate. So they cannot make decisions on their own, they're no longer lucid. So then you designate somebody to make decisions for you. You're telling your doctors and your caregivers, these are things that are important to me. So it's about preparing for future medical decisions. It's not about today or effective, and it's not effective until a later date. In most cases, people do not give up their rights for advance on their documents until they become incapacitated. So you have to reflect on your goals and your values. What are the things that are important to you? Whether it be it cultural, your religion might have an impact on what decisions you make based on your practices, spiritual guidelines that you might want to follow, as well as personal preferences as well, because not everybody thinks alike. Even families who have multiple members in that family, they might have different values. Just because they grew up in the same household does not make it automatically that everybody thinks alike or values the same thing. So also understanding possible situations. What is running in your family, for example? Do you have diabetes or heart disease that's an issue within your family? What are the implications that could happen for you, for your health? Making those considerations and talking to your doctors. But also reflecting and making on the discussions with your loved ones, those people who are going to carry out your wishes. It is important that we have the conversation with those individuals as well. Don't just reflect on these things, put it in a document and put it in a file cabinet or in a safety deposit box somewhere. That is not the idea behind this here. It is about encouraging folks to have the conversation ahead of time. So one thing that comes to mind when I talk about advanced directives is really Terri Schiavo. Was a very common, popular case that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. And Terri Schiavo was a young 26-year-old young lady. She was married and she had a brain aneurysm and fell in her kitchen floor. And for 15 years, she was in a vegetative state. What that meant was Terri was not reactive. There was no brain activity. She was not able to eat for herself, make decisions, or anything like that. Well, after multiple years, her husband thought that Terri did not want to live this way, as he indicated that that's what Terri said, and wanted to remove the feeding tube. But her parents decided no, they don't want to remove the feeding tube. Well, it became a decision that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and everybody had an opinion about it. But this was a personal decision. But now here we go. That personal decision that Terri and her husband or could have made together, or she could have made with an advance directive, but she was young. She thought she did not need one, just like many of who are young don't think that we need this, because we think, you know what, life is going to go on. We're going to get old and, die gracefully in our sleep someday. That's the ultimate dream. But sometimes things like this happen, and this can cause conflict with the family. And it really demonstrates why this is not just for the old and the frail and people who are ill. Demonstrate that advanced care planning, life can change in an instant, and we need to talk about those what ifs ahead of time, and have a plan in place in case we ever need them. And if we don't, it's okay. So it's all right not to have that need, but at least you have the plan in place. So we want you guys to ponder about certain things. What are your beliefs and your values? What are the things that are important to you that you want to make sure that those who are treating you and caring for you would know, and that would keep you comfortable? And understanding medical treatments. Some of us, myself included, especially prior to starting this, I didn't know what intubations was, what is involved in breathing machines, and what's involved in all of these different processes, the major ones. Let's have a better understanding in what that means for our bodies, and what the treatment plans that need to take place mean for us. So having those conversations with your healthcare providers, sit down with your doctor, have those conversations, and make an educated decision rather than just guessing or making an assumption based on Grey's Anatomy, which is awesome. I like watching it, but it's not the most, realistic things all the time. So let's be more realistic and have a better understanding. Take into consideration family experiences as well. Have you seen a situation that went really well because there was an advance directive in place? Or have you seen a family fighting and struggling and really bringing conflict into that situation, and you don't want that for your loved ones? So those are things that you need to ponder about when thinking about advanced care planning. And don't confuse a living will with a actual last will and testament. So advanced care planning consists of many documents. One of them is a living will, and another one would be a healthcare surrogacy. Another one would be a DNR. So there are different components to it. So a living will can be a written or an oral statement. We recommend that you have it written, because just like we just learned with Terri Schiavo, if it's not written, it can be contested, you can be dragged out in court and all of that stuff. So having it in writing has a greater chance of eliminating all of that stuff. So a living will takes in effect while you're still living, and it is about your care, your health care. So don't confuse it with the last will and testament, which is about your personal possessions, your finances, your belongings, and also after you've passed away. So some people are like, oh, I have a will, but there's a difference. Living will while you're still living, healthcare, last will and testament, personal property and finances after you've passed away. So just want to make sure that people understand that distinction. So take the time to talk about your living will. How do you want to care for should something happen to you? And then the other component is your healthcare surrogacy. Choosing the right person to be your healthcare surrogate. That is your healthcare agent, your healthcare proxy, your healthcare power of attorney. These are all different terminologies that are used. But that individual needs to be at least 18 years of age, and is going to be the person who agrees to make decisions for you should you no longer be able to communicate for yourself. We recommend at least you choose 2 individuals. You have a primary person, secondary person, better to choose at least 3. Example, if I chose my husband to be my healthcare surrogate, but we travel together and something happens to both of us, well, then you need a backup person, the secondary person, to be making decisions on your behalf. So keep that in mind as well. And then lastly, we want to think about who is the right person to be your healthcare surrogate. Should it be my mom? Should it be my husband? Should it be my sister? Should it be my neighbor or even my cousin? Whoever it is, make sure this person is okay making decisions on your behalf. It's important that you share your values with them and your decisions so that and they say, yes, I can do that for you. But if you go to somebody who says, you know what, I don't believe in blood transfusions and I don't want to do that for you, don't make that individual your healthcare surrogate. Try to choose somebody else because that person has to be willing and accessible. Doesn't mean that they need to live down the street from you within the same city, because these days technology has allowed us to communicate easily with people who are not nearby. So think about somebody who will be responsive, somebody who will answer the phone, somebody who will be able to get signatures taken care of right away, or give authority to your healthcare providers right away, and somebody who really will follow whatever it is that you're asking them to do. Because if they say that they're not comfortable with something, please be respectful of that and choose an individual who is more aligned with your beliefs and your values. And because sometimes there's a lack of understanding, but you want to make sure that you're on the same plateau in that regard, so that they don't have to agree, but they're at least willing to say, yes, I can take care of that for you. Again, that individual needs to be at least 18 and somebody who can be in the stressful situation, because sometimes these are decisions that have to be made very quickly. These are decisions that people, might be stressed about, but, it's all about having the right individual to make that decision for you. And so, think about these points to ponder about. How can you make sure your wishes are known? It is important and imperative that we communicate them with our loved ones, because having these documents and not doing anything about it does not really help. And you should have them revised. If you have some, take a look at them at least every 5 years. But if not, we say 10 years. If you have a new diagnosis, or you've your health is declining and now your needs have changed, those are all. If you've gotten divorced, or if maybe somebody you've listed as a healthcare provider, or your healthcare surrogate has passed away. So those are all different circumstances where we make a recommendation to revise and review your documents as well. Then they're usually honored in other states as well. Living wills will be honored in other states should they be properly executed in the state that you're in. So if you're traveling and you go out of town and you take it with you, the doctors more likely will follow it. If you live in 2 different states, we do make a recommendation that you have one for each appropriate state, because you might be spending 6 months here, 6 months up north. And so just making it easy, have 2 different documents, but it's not required. And so you could change your mind. It's revocable. You don't have to say, well, it's set in stone. Something, as you grow, as we change as individuals, we might want something different. So just go ahead, make the changes and discard the old one. And please do not store it in a safety deposit box at the bank. Should something happen 5 o'clock on Friday night, the bank manager is going home and your family is not going to have access to it. So make sure you have copies at home. You have copies given to your primary physician if you're working with any specialist, such as your cardiologist or your oncologist. Make sure they have they each have copies as well. The person who's going to be making decisions for you, you should give a copy to them as well. So these are things that we want to share for people to think about and ponder about. The conversation should be easy to have, but it's not, because it's become more taboo. But we're encouraging people, Brittany, to have more conversation and say, you know what, I can have this conversation. I can prepare my loved ones, and at least they know something. Should something happen, they will know what to do. So being that we are affiliated, Stratum Health System is affiliated with Tidewell. It's affiliated with Approved, Avidity. So there are all these different companies that we work with, all within the healthcare industry. And so it's not just about providing this for the hospice patient. This is providing it to anybody within the community who needs this type of conversation started. And we have the documents. We don't discourage people from going to see a lawyer. We encourage that, as a matter of fact. But at least we are able to help you start the conversation, help you think about these points that I've talked about here today, so that by the time you get to your lawyer, you can go ahead and know and have these conversations ahead of time. But it's not necessary to go to a lawyer either. This is supposed to be accessible to anybody in the state of Florida. You're not required to go through a lawyer. The forms that we provide can be downloaded from our website, or if I do a presentation at your office, at your church, at your facility, wherever it may be, we do this presentation anywhere. We could do it. Usually we do it in person, but nowadays with COVID being around, we've been doing it digitally. We're doing webinars like we're doing right now. And I can do this presentation for your facility or for your group of people and provide this information and give you the forms that you need to complete the process. Or you can also reach us at the contact information here at stratumhealthsystem.org/mylifemychoice. That is the website. And when you go to that website, you are welcome to download the forms that are available there as well. And in spite of COVID-19, we are also doing something that didn't used to do, which is we're providing one-on-one advanced care planning. So I can sit with an individual via Zoom, set a time and talk to you and customize what are your needs, what are the things you need to talk about, and the challenges and your fears and things that you want to make sure you incorporate in your documents. And then you can fill out the documents yourself, or you can go to a lawyer and have it completed. So here's the contact information for us. My Life, My Choice at this mlmc at stratumhealthsystem.org, or you can call me at 941-894-6589 anytime. And we are more than happy to, like I said, provide one-on-one services for the near future, as well as coming to do a full presentation on My Life, My Choice Advanced Directives. Talk about what your loved ones need to know and be willing to share with your loved ones, because this is a gift to them as well as to you.
Thank you,
Any
Nafi.
questions for me, Brittany?
Well, as I was thinking of them, you were answering them like within a minute of me thinking of them. So you did fantastic. I know, Nafi, that just like you said, it didn't even strike me until I actually heard you for the first time do this presentation. I've always, my career has been in senior living, and I can't tell you how many people I've worked with and assisted that didn't have those documents in place. And these are people that were in their 80s, 90s. And so it didn't strike me until I heard you say with this program, My Life, My Choice, that at 18 years old, you should be advanced planning. You should be doing your documents and having these things in order, because like you said with Terri Schiavo, perfect example, everybody gets, when you hear that name, it has such a weight to it and an emphasis on it, has a certain feeling where you remember the story. And so to be able to be prepared and not have to go through that, it's so important. So I appreciate you sharing that as something we should all think about no matter what age we're at.
What age? Yeah. I mean, because like I said earlier, we don't really want to be in those situations. Nobody does really, or anticipate it, or even think it's going to be your family. But unfortunately, on a daily basis, families receive these diagnoses, or something happens where you're like, wow, now you're living that in that you've seen on TV or heard of other families living through. And then you're like, wow, now it's real. But that burden can be lifted a little bit better if this conversation had taken place ahead of time. So that's the difference. And it's been shown that families who have this conversation, when a death occurs, they're dealing with that death, they grieve in a more manageable way, and depression is less in those families also. So there are so many advantages to it, the financial advantages of going in and out of the hospital constantly, or doing unnecessary tests and things like that, when the conversation is had ahead of time and you know the goals of care, it's easier for you to say to doctors, yes, we want to do this, we want to try this, we don't want to try this. These are the decisions we've made ahead of time.
Exactly. Like you said, it's a gift to your loved one. It's a gift to yourself. So if you are watching and you want some more information, please reach out to Nafi and the team at Stratum Health. As she mentioned, you have several different facets of, you have Tidewell, you have Approved, you have Avidity, My Life, My Choice. You guys are all phenomenal, and we thank you for everything you're doing out there.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
I was just going to say, again, I appreciate your time. I mean, it's Monday, it's rainy, and, you know, I think this is a perfect topic for right now, at the time that everybody has almost like a little bit more time to think on things and to use their time in different ways they haven't been able to. So again, if you're considering doing this, you should at least make that first step and make a phone call. And Nafi's awesome. I can't say anything other than Nafi is just incredible, and their team will take such good care of you.
Well, thank you, Brittany. You're awesome too. Love working with you.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in today on Advanced Care Planning with Nafi from Stratum Health Systems. And we hope everybody has a great rest of their Monday.
Happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Nafi, can you switch me back over to host real quick? If you're watching still on live stream, I just got to be able to end the live stream. Awesome. There we go. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye, Nafi.
Bye.